fired up. How about you? So this meeting was originally called when the Villages MAGA Club announced they were going to do this outrageous thing and bring the J6 convicted felons into the villages. And so almost immediately, like a wildfire, started by many of the people in this room, some of whom you'll hear from in just a minute. Letters started going out, emails started going out, phone calls started being made, letters to the editors started going out, contacts with other media and other politicians and other interested parties went out, and a whole bunch of different people started organizing to get things done. And so that was going to be the purpose of this meeting of the Villages Democratic Club, was show solidarity with the protesters, get people into this room, get them charged up, and then after the meeting was ended, probably a bunch of us would have been going over to Rohan to demonstrate with everybody else. So you are the people who made that happen, and what happened after that. And what happened to that event at Rohan? Once it was called off, we said, well, should we cancel this meeting? And we said, hell no. Let's get together and celebrate the people who made it happen. And let's keep the pressure on from now on. Every day. So there's that. Now, we always start our meeting with the pledge, so please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all. All right. I also want to sort of take a serious moment to acknowledge the reason we were so outraged by what the Villages MAGA Club is going to do. Maybe we should be thanking them for calling that together, because it sort of got us riled up. We know what terrible thing happened on January 6, 2021. We know who caused it. We know why they did it. And we're seeing the results now, 4 years later, of them trying to totally dismantle our democracy and take away everybody's rights, but their rights to have power and earn money, and to just tear up everybody else because they just don't love this country. They don't love anybody but themselves. So, next slide, please. The moment of reflection has to do with what happened at the Capitol that day. Remember, nearly 150 U.S. Capitol Police and Metropolitan Police in the Washington, D.C. district were injured. One Capitol Police officer, Brian Sitnick, died the next day. And within a week, 4 others had committed suicide. So in addition to the human toll, there was the tragedy that unfolded on national and international television of seeing our Capitol ransacked, of seeing people trying to kill Speaker Pelosi, people wanting to hang Mike Pence. These are violent people who would destroy the country if they could get away with it. And they're being given permission to do that, and we cannot let them succeed. So one of those officers on the scene, who's been very active since, and last week issued a statement. That's the next slide. Officer Harry Dunn, U.S. Capitol Police. Until there is nothing that can be done, there's always something that can be done. We are in times now where we need a lot of somebodies to do their some things. Go as hard as you can, as long as you can. It's worth it.
Yes.
And a couple of the somebodies who did something are right here in the front row, and they're going to talk to you next. Please welcome Gene Roberts and Sandy Strehlow.
Sam, did you want the lights on?
Yeah, that would be helpful. Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
Number 2.
So I'm not going to even think that you guys are here to see us, okay? We are just regular villages, just like many of you are, okay?
We are not leaders of any club. We're not involved really heavily into the Democratic Club. We're just a bunch of ladies that saw exactly what was going on, and we jumped in to be part of the entire team to help. Okay? So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about myself, and when I'm done with my little spiel, Jean Roberts will come up, introduce herself, and then talk to you about the next part of our presentation, okay? So my background, as well as Jean's, is in program management. I moved here in the Villages in September of 2020, right during COVID. And I just didn't want to work anymore. We didn't want to do any of that stuff. We both had PTSD because we worked for large corporations, and anybody who's had that experience can kind of probably understand that, right? So we got involved in this because, just like you, we saw everybody viral posting about what was going on here in the Villages. And that's what I'm going to talk about here, our involvement, okay? So before we go, I just want to tell you that the hat, the red lipstick, and usually my sunglasses are sort of my brand. And that's how people recognize me wherever I go, whatever town square I'm at, whatever pickleball court I'm on, they know who I am because of the hat. And I also want to tell you a funny story that I do a lot of drill and play, pickleball, Wednesday mornings specifically, and they named me Jackie O because of my sunglasses, my lipstick, and my hat. A lot of people, they do not know my real name, and I had to tell them, it's Sandy, it's not Jackie, okay? So let's go. Okay. So normally, when I get up and do a speech, and I've had a lot of experience working for a large corporation to do that. Next slide, please. Okay, so I always want to tell people what I'm going to tell them, right? So in normal procedure, I would go through my agenda items, and I would click off each one and say, this is what I'm going to share for number 1, number 2, number 3. So I know we have limited time, so I just want you to take a look at the slide, give you a couple of seconds to see what I'm going to tell you so I can tell you. And then if you can go ahead and put the next slide up, please. Thank you. Okay, so I want to be very, very clear. When the invite went out, it said that we energized the Villages, and they wanted to know how we went around about and did that. We did not. We did not energize the Villages at all, because you guys were already energized. Viral posting, making all the phone calls like Dennis mentioned, all of the emails to Rohan, everybody was fired up and frankly pissed off. Like, we could not believe that the Villages would allow these criminals into our community. These gun-packing criminals that hurt our police, where police died, they beat them, they smeared feces on our Capitol, okay? Why, oh why, did the Villages allow these people to come in? To make things worse, they invited people from the outside. With our lack gun laws, God only knows what could have happened, okay? And the hurt it could have caused our community. Not a good look. Not a good look for the Villages at all. So, what we did do is we realized there were pockets of people in the Villages that really wanted to do something, that really wanted to protest, that wanted to do something, but there was no one really taking charge of doing the something, okay? Except for one person that we saw, and that is Casey Marr. Casey, where are you? Can you stand up, please? Casey Marr. Angel Tracy, we saw that he was trying to put together a small group of people to actually go out and protest. So we wanted to get him involved. We wanted to get on his side and make sure that we were supporting him. Next slide, please. Okay, so what we really wanted to do is we wanted to get all of these groups united front, and there's some of these groups that may be Florida groups, that maybe aren't specifically with the villages. There were also other outside Democratic groups that that maybe some people were in the villages or some people were not. So these are the Democratic Facebook groups that I personally belong to, okay? So our immediate thought is to get these people engaged. Of these groups, okay, thank you, appreciate it. You want to put that in there for me? Okay. Of these groups, okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, better, okay. Of these groups, we have almost 80,000 members. 80,000, okay? So their eyes were gonna be on stuff that we were gonna tell them. Sure, maybe it wouldn't reach every single person, okay? But there were enough people, okay, that could pay attention to what was going on here in the villages, and we wanted to capitalize on that. Next slide, please. All right, so what's going to be the plan? What the heck are we going to do to try to wrangle up everybody in the villages? That's where we became involved, okay? So the process that we took, step one, was to identify all the admins and the moderators of these groups, okay? Then we basically reached out via messenger and communicated with, 15 plus admins of these groups, told them what was going on here, and we wanted to get their emails for two reasons. Number one, we wanted them to help us, and we would arrange a Zoom call with all of these people. And number two, we wanted to be able to communicate with them more effectively than trying to reach all these people on Messenger, okay? Because up to now, it's just, everybody, we were all over the place. We had to figure out how to do that communication more quickly. So we got that. We got the Zoom call going, and we had like maybe 14 people come. We didn't know what to expect. That was including Jean and I. Everybody introduced themselves, so we understood who they were. Many people on the call weren't really representing a group. They just heard about it. They heard about it, they got the information, they jumped on because they wanted to share their ideas on what we should be doing to stop this, okay? So we wanted to get buy-in, and specifically, we wanted to get help, okay, on what we were planning. We needed people to help us do something as a united front. And as part of that, we developed a set of assets that we were going to send out to get people engaged, to help them understand what we were doing, and a way for them to sign up to the protest. Next slide. In the meantime, while we were doing all of that, had our Zoom call, we find out that there is a CDD District 10 meeting going on, okay? Jean calls me up, hey Sandy, guess what's happening, right? There's a CDD District 10 meeting, and we gotta wrangle up the troops and get everybody over there. Okay, so we communicated via Facebook, announced the meeting, and right away people were saying, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna be there, count me in, so on and so forth.
Unfortunately, I couldn't go. It was my husband and my 39th wedding anniversary, and there's no way that I was going to tell him that I could not go out to dinner with friends, okay? No way. But Jean went, Jean Roberts. She brought a slew of people with her. A lot of my other Democratic friends went, and that room was filled, okay? We had 30 or 40 people there, all saying, what is going on in the villages? Why are you allowing to do this? Here, these guys are concerned about how tall the weeds are. Oh, a stupid neighbor, right? How tall, how important is that? Okay, how tall the weeds are? Huh? Okay, so, you know, everybody said their mind, right? And they actually sent Jean on a wild goose chase to go someplace else to get this permit that we thought we needed. Casey knew better. He knew we didn't need a permit, but that's what we were being told, and sent her on a wild goose chase to try to get this, you know, permit, okay? Now, what happened here was once the meeting said, okay, we're pretty much done with the J6 part of the agenda, most of the room got up and walked out. Okay, they walked out because they did not care what was going to be said if it wasn't around helping us with J6. So I am of the opinion that that really helped tip the scales to helping get this thing canceled. In addition, to what all you guys were doing, okay? So we had the viral campaign, we had the CDD meeting, okay? And then, of course, what happened next? Zoom call. We had folks attending the Zoom call. A lot of people had some great ideas on what we should do, right? A lot of people were fearful, understandably so, okay? They were fearful that if we went to protest, that something, arrested, something would happen, people would, get shot because of all the people that might be coming. We had no idea how many people were coming in, but it's my understanding they had a room booked for hundreds of people, okay? So we kind of listened to everybody, and we had the fearful people trying to figure out maybe where we might be able to go, or some of us might be able to go a couple days before to be off-site and express their unhappiness. And there were some people that said, yeah, let's go protest, and that were willing to take action, okay? So I want to just thank a couple people that agreed to help us to do certain tasks to really make this happen. So Rosie Williams, Rosie, are you here? Hi! So we had a whole list of mainstream media that I'm going to show you on the next slide, that we had to, Steve Bannon says, flood the zone, okay? We had to flood the zone on these mainstream media people, okay, and get after them over and over and over again. And we needed a contact person, the person that they would need to get back to and help coordinate who are they from, where are they from, what are they gonna do, what information do they need from us, okay? So Rosie was gonna be the point person to help us there. Secondly, we were flooding the zone on Blue Sky. The purpose of Blue Sky was to get in touch with independent media, okay, like Midas Touch Network. I'll put up the slide. Some of you might be familiar with who these independent media people are. Also, the influencers that have been posting about what is going on in Congress, etc., etc. We wanted to get those people. I had 43 organizations or individuals on that list, okay?
So Terry Rathbun, Terry, are you here? Okay, Terry's not here. Terry and her husband Mark were on this call. So we had this action that we needed help. Terry stepped up and said, hey, I'm on Blue Sky. I'll help you flood the zone on Blue Sky and make sure we get some attention to some independent media that's going to do a story here, okay? So, in addition to those agreements, Casey already had notified his group of people and had set up a time for protests. It was different than what we proposed our time to be. So Casey agreed to change his time to coincide with our time, okay? So we got all his people to be in sync with, you know, all of you that may want to participate in this protest. So it was very, very important to us to make sure people understood there was going to be a police presence there, okay? We had to make sure there was police. And frankly, we've been calling Wildwood Police, we've been calling the sheriff, some people talk to the sheriff and all that kind of stuff. So they were getting flooded too, okay? We were on them too. And it was the MAGAs that basically got the police to come because they felt they needed protection. Yeah, they needed some protection, right? So, I mean, that's laughable. So, flooding the zone with the sheriff's department, because we found out the sheriff is the one that deploys the Wildwood Police Department. So the sheriff was the point person to get the Wildwood cops out there too, okay? So the last thing, we had a fella, Michael Kornfeld. Michael, are you here? Michael, you here? Okay. So he was just a concerned citizen. He's on the call and he's like, you know, people are afraid. They're afraid of these people. And he suggested, well, let's do a pre-protest. Let's go off-site somewhere and let's get the people that are fearful, have them come and participate in there, right? And then we have the other one where people say, yeah, bring it on, right? So Michael was running with that. So we had some little troops that we deployed to help us out on getting the word out and getting this all set up to be safe for everyone, etc., etc. Next slide, please. Okay, so the assets I talked about. First thing is we developed a flyer. Our intent was to get this flyer out to all of those groups that I just showed you, right? All of the groups that basically told you where to be, what time, that the police were going to be there, and to basically sign up for this protest. Also notice, we've got some bullet points here. This is what we want your signs to say. We believe, I mean, there are a lot of issues that are going on in this country right now, okay? People could be protesting all kinds of stuff, right? We wanted to make sure that we were laser focused on the cops. We're there because we support the blue. We're the ones that support the blue, not the cop beaters, okay? They don't support the blue, they just lie. And they tell this story that they're, you know, it's BS, right? So we wanted all the signs to basically include messages about the cops. The Jan Sixers are cop beaters. MAGA hates the blue. J6ers have no regard for law and order. J6ers are not above the law. So we had some other suggestions on bringing flags and whatnot, okay? But the purpose of this flyer was to really get people engaged and understand that we had some organization to what we were doing to bring everybody together to get everybody united, okay? The second piece up there I have is a screenshot from a website called Sign Up Genius. Many of you are probably familiar with that. If you play pickleball, if you sign up for clinics or some kind of drill and play, etc., they use Sign Up Genius to capture people's name and information. So what we wanted is we needed to understand how many people were going to be there. Okay? Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 50? Is it 100? What is it going to be? So this was our way to capture who's going, and optionally to provide an email address. Because secondarily, if the thing got canceled the day before, we can easily reach out to all the people who are going to be there, okay, and tell them that it's canceled. So there's no confusion, no more Facebook posting, none of that kind of stuff. Like, it's not an efficient use of everybody's time. So that's exactly what we were going to do to bring everybody together and for us to understand how many. Also, we wanted to understand how many is for the media, right? We're flooding the zone with the media. This was ammunition to allow us to get back to them and say, expect 500, expect 200, expect whatever number we were expecting, so they know it was a big event. It's not just a couple of people, like waving their signs around, right? So that's really the other thing that we wanted to do, to get people to sign up so we know, next slide, who was going to be there. Okay, mainstream media. These are all the organizations we were reaching out to about this protest, okay? And, we did some investigation to find out how we submit news tips to these organizations, all right? Because, they don't really want you calling them, because they don't have the people to answer the phones or whatever. They don't want you calling. They want you to send it via their websites, via email, however. Found news tips. Okay, send me your news tips on all of those organizations, right? Relayed that information to Rosie. I had gone already after some, and I had been pounding on them. Rosie's job was to pound some more, okay? To flood the zone with, email and whatever, all over and over again, so they would pay some attention to what was going on. Next slide, please. Okay, independent media. If you look at this list, you'll see that there are probably people that you're familiar with, like, for instance, Adam Kinzinger, Jen Psaki, Midas Touch Network, 60 Minutes, Luke Beasley, Nicole Wallace, Chris Hayes, The Bulwark, Ali Velshi, Crew. So Republicans against Trumpism, okay? So that's where Terry was going to get involved. I already reached out. I sent them the MAGA flyer that the maggots were circulating about the event. I sent it all to these people, right? So they can see what was happening and who invited these people to the villages. So that was going to be Terry's job, to flood the zone some more with this information so we can get some media attention. All right, next slide, please. All right. So, hey, it was called off. Yay! Very cool. We were elated. I mean, people were communicating. Oh, and then they thought, oh, God, John Rohan's email must have got hacked. Oh, it doesn't look real. And everybody's like going, oh, is it really happening? Was it really happening? And at the end of the day, we finally got to, it was posted on the MAGA site under events, okay? They posted it on their website, said it was called off because of police concerns. Okay, maybe that was, some of the reason. Okay, maybe. Blue sky, some of the reason, maybe. Okay, whatever, right? So, everybody was going to the MAGA site to look at this. And of course, they said, oh, you can get a refund if you ask me nicely by February 24th, And remember, part of that money was going to go to the frickin' criminals. They were going to get some of that money, right? Sure. And then somebody told me, oh, it's still on Everbright, and there's nothing that says that it was canceled on Everbright. I said, oh, so sad, too bad. Right? Because, they're going to lose their money, and it didn't happen. Hey, yeah. All right. So then, right, Jean
was just hounding John Rohan, right? Hounding him about the permit. So he got back to her, all right? I don't know if he got back to anybody else, but he got back to her, right? And he validated that the event was canceled. And oh, hey, you know, if you want any future permits, I'd be more than glad to help you with it. Okay. So, we had some success about media, I would say, even though the Villages News, you know, it's not really media, you know, per se, but they publish stories, you know, about what's going on here in the Villages. Casey Marr, again, was successful in getting an opinion published in the Villages News, talking about what kind of happened here and what these January 6ers were doing, and we shouldn't have them here. Oh, you know, history, right? Then we had Donna Brazil. I don't think she made it back yet. I will tell you that story of why she's not here. She's an ex-police officer, okay? And she basically did her opinion based on being an ex-police officer and how these MAGAs don't give a crap about the police. It's all lies. So I would ask Donna to stand up so you can see who she is. But unfortunately, my fault, a bunch of us rode together and we were yakking so much that I left my notes at Jean's house. Jean sent Donna to go back all the way to Monarch Grove to get those notes for me. And she never made it back on time. So thank you, Donna, for doing that. I sort of had to kind of re-scribble all my notes and all that, but hey, you know, I was able to muddle through it. But this really means victory for all of us. All of us, all of you. All of you. And if we stick together, we can make things happen. I noticed when everybody was in the uproar, everybody was engaged because they were mad. They were mad as hell that this was happening, okay? So right now, we all know what's going on in the House. We all know they're trying to steal Medicaid and SNAP, potentially Medicare and Social Security. We know that they passed a bill, okay, to start that process to happen. We got to get just as mad about what they are doing, okay, and Jean's going to talk about that, all right? I have been writing letters to Daniel Webster, okay? I know, it's really funny, a joke, I'm wasting my time. Yeah, okay. So I wrote him 2 letters, and he wrote me back 2 BS responses. He blatantly lied to his constituents. Okay, lied. I'm like, get your butt down here into the Villages and talk to us and help us understand what you're doing like we are in kindergarten. Explain it to us, okay? So, I go back on today again, and I'm going to write a response to his letter, and oh, you know what? Whoops. This site is under maintenance. Come back later. Blank screen. It's under maintenance. Come back later. Well, you know that's not true. Friday, you know, usually people do that like on a weekend, right? At night, right? It's Friday morning. Okay, you know what he was doing. He wanted to lock us all out. And that's what they're doing. They're doing that in the House. After all of the pushback they've been getting, everybody yelling at them, they're basically canceling all their town halls. We will have none of that. Okay? We will have none of that. So, victory for all. Thank you so much, everybody, for making this happen. Next slide. Okay. So, I want to thank all of the people that really attended the Zoom call, that volunteered to help our effort, right? And to help us get a victory. And you know, you all did it. And I like to thank certain people here. So I want to thank Donna Brazil, who's not here because I sent her on a wild goose chase. I want to thank Linda Brown, who is the leader of one of the Facebook groups.
that's got like 40-some thousand people engaged. Pam Ains, she's not here. She helped. Bernie Eisenfeld. Bernie, are you here? Stand up, Bernie, to see you. Yeah, thank you, Bernie. Okay. He jumped on, wanted to know what he can do to help out, right? All right, Sylvia Ellenhoff, are you here? Okay, she also attended the call. Diane Foley, wherever you are, stand up, Diane. Okay, she attended, right? Okay. Casey Marr, of course, again, man of the hour. Okay. Terry and Mark Rathbun, I know they're not here. Susan Rockefeller, Susan, are you here? Okay, she also was on the call. Rosie Williams, of course. And Melissa Schiff, who's got the Woman Forward Facebook group that's got like 42,000 subscribers, and she was on the call. Now, I want to say, you know, usually when you hold these kind of calls and you just invite all these people, everybody's got their own agenda, right? So she just wanted to know why we're not attacking all of these other issues. Well, for one thing, there's one issue right now, and that's what we're going after. Let's go back, let's do this a different day, right? But, you know, she was on. And then lastly, my partner over here, the other person that I hope is going to get you really riled up is Jean Roberts, because she's really good about this. And her and I argue every day. What is the next thing that we should get into and start? So she's going to talk about that. So my last slide, Jean, come up here. It's going to be the most difficult one. So, yes. So I have two quotes up here. The first quote is from John Lewis. Okay? Get into good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. John Lewis. Good trouble, necessary trouble. And the last one is from me. Okay? We cannot let fear paralyze us. We cannot let fear paralyze us. Okay? Let's be united. Let's have our voices heard. Let's fight for democracy. Okay, you're going to get an earful here. You think?
Where's Eric? All right, hi everybody. My name is Jean Roberts, and I am just a villager, okay? I thank you for asking us to come here to speak tonight. You know, when I would much rather be out playing golf or playing tennis or something, but you know, it's such a critical time, and I can't just sit back and watch our democracy be stolen by the damn MAGAs, okay? And I promised Sandy I wouldn't swear, so I'm gonna really hard not to do that, but sometimes it just gets away from me. So I'm warning you now. You know, the environmental progress, the healthcare, our democracy, all of it, it just, when I heard the J6ers would come in, Pam Eanes reached out to me and sent me the MAGA flyer, and I just, my blood started to boil. I was like, these people are coming here and they're going to speak for a profit, right? I was like, not on my dime, you know, no way. So I reached out to Sandy, and she pretty much gave me the very thorough rundown of how things panned out. But I think that the most exciting thing was that, you know, the phone calls started, and people, I mean, I sent out texts to groups of like 50 people at a time, and people I never expected to actually respond were furious, and they started emailing, and they started calling, and the movement started. And you know, we texted, called, posted, verbally, we stormed meetings, we did all of this, everybody did this, and it worked. And we were able to, you know, we were able to stop the J6ers from coming in. You may have read in the paper and saw the many letters that people sent in. My wife, Donna Brazel, who just walked into the room.
Stand up.
Stand up, Donna. You know, detective for FDLE, she tries to play low key. I'm usually the loud one in the family. Okay? And she wrote that letter and just got a terrific response back from people, and I was so proud of her. Good for you. So, but where do we go from here, folks? Stopping the J6ers, in my opinion, is a drop in the ocean. As Sandy alluded to, there's so much stuff going on. Where do we go from here? And so, I'm sorry, who's in charge of slides? Could you? All right, so Sandy did all the pretty pictures and everything. Okay, this is my only slide. So my big thing is, we're all, the people in this room, we all know what's going on. We know there's a special election in Florida. Okay, 4-1, we've got a chance to get 2 House seats. We need to put the focus on those 2 seats, and then of course there's one in New York. The support for Josh and Gay is absolutely crucial. But we need to go outside of the normal ideas. This is my opinion, all right? We need to do something different. We played by the rules in the last election, and look where it got us, okay? I felt like somebody died after the presidential election in November. I literally was in mourning for a couple of months. I didn't turn the TV on. I didn't read the paper. I was like, I'm moving to Spain. Seriously. I felt like there was a huge death in our country. And I was absolutely beside myself. So we have an opportunity to start thinking outside the box and figure out a way to get Josh and Gay elected here in Florida. And then there's that 3rd election in New York. In my opinion, this is how we're going to save our democracy. This is like the only way right now, because they don't give a damn about our protesting. They don't care that, no one's shopping today, right? Anyone shopping today? Don't shop today, right? You've got the Block and Amazon coming up. They could care less. They're making absolute millions, through the SpaceX. It's nauseating, absolutely nauseating. So, I'm like, how do we go outside the norms? How do we, get out the vote's crucial. The postcards and the campaigning. And Josh, if you went to his kickoff meeting, he said he has, 100 people on his campaign that are going out, knocking on 14,000 doors a day. That's incredible, right? Gay has a much harder road to pave here up in the Panhandle. She's against a big name. He was the CFO. Jimmy was CFO for Florida. She has a much harder campaign. So, we're talking about, do we get a caravan of people and go up there and knock on doors? What do? We need to go outside the box here a little bit. I understand Josh wants a golf cart parade here in the Villages. In Sumter County, that's not going to do anything. We can't vote, right? What we need to do, again, okay, I'm going to stop saying my opinion, right? What we need to do is, get a golf cart parade up in the northern part of the Villages. Get behind this where those people can vote, and have a huge parade, but have people putting out flyers. Here's what's happening to your Medicare. Here's what's happening to vet services, okay? I mean, there's 45,000 veterans up in Lake County? You need an operation, you're not going to get it. I mean, we need to educate these people. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But again, we can't forget Gay up in the Panhandle. She needs a lot of help up there. Okay, so Sandy touched base on all the different groups that she had reached out to using Facebook and various social media. How do we unite all these different groups? Right now, the Florida Women Forward group, 45,000 members, Democrat group, thousands of hundreds of thousands of people all over Florida, but everyone's doing their own piece of the pie. So how do we get we all want the same thing. How do we get everybody together? How do we get all these groups together? Now, Sandy did an amazing job reaching out to the admins and getting everybody on a Zoom call. And ask, hey, Democratic leaders here, how do we do this? Because we need a united front, everybody pushing these elections, the nation knows about it. We've got people from California and Maine and all over the place saying, what can I do to help? We need all of these people trying to do the same thing united. We don't need all these, we don't need everybody like taking their little piece of the pie. I'm up here talking to you guys. I know how you're going to vote, right? I mean, we're all in this together. We need to reach out the norm, get out of the norm. We need to reach independents. We need to reach Republicans. Tell them what they're losing with this administration. I mean, I had a woman walk up to me, one of my neighbors, and I was pretty sure she probably was a Trumper, and we start talking, and she's like, well, I was supposed to have a doctor's appointment, and it was going to be free under Medicare, but they just called me and told me it was going to cost me $150, and I can't do it. Telehealth, right? I mean, all these things we need. So I'm like, yeah, let's talk about that. Okay? And I mean, this is happening all the time. So you pick a bipartisan topic, okay, and have the conversations with your neighbors. We need to stop being scared of talking, people. We need to be loud. I went to a women's Democratic meeting. It was a social event. Everybody's whispering. You're like, why are you whispering? We need to be loud, okay? So up in Maine, I'm a snowbird, and I go back to Maine in the summertime. That's my happy place. Okay, but and a fisherman was at my house, this guy, and I don't know if I've got a talk politics with me tattooed on my forehead. He brought up politics, and we started talking. I said, are you aware of Project 2025? And he's like, no. And I said, well, you know that they want to eliminate the National Weather Service. And he's kind of like, whoa, his eyes bulged out. He's like, they can't do that. They can't do that. I need that. I need to know what the weather is, and I need to know, what the seas are going to be. And I said, you need to educate yourself before you vote. You need to, people, open your damn eyes. Come on. Find out who you're voting for. It's your job as an American citizen to educate yourself before you vote. Okay? And we need to be having these conversations with all of our neighbors, all the Republicans and the independents. It's not the time to be quiet. We need to band together, we need to mobilize, we need to use our numbers to educate and advocate. Okay, so pick a bipartisan topic and have that conversation. Have the conversation with your vet neighbor who voted for Trump and say, I'm really, really sorry, you're going to lose all your services. I just read about it, and isn't that a shame, you idiot? But I was also talking to a Democratic neighbor who lives right next door to us, a very good friend of ours, and I know she feels very passionate about all these ideas. But I was mad. I was really mad. And I said, what is it going to take for you to do something? What is it going to take? Does your son-in-law, who's from India and is not a U.S. citizen, does he need to be deported? I said, does Donna and my marriage need to be repealed? Does our black neighbor who we're good friends with, does she need to have the crap beaten out of her and nothing happens? What is it going to take for you to get involved? So, I mean, the boots on the streets thing, people, I mean, it's one thing playing on our smartphones in the comfort of our house and posting how pissed off we are on Facebook. It's another thing to get out there and be loud. We need to. Here I go again. All right. We need to do more. Okay? We need to do a lot more than send postcards and get out the vote and talk to Democrats. We need to talk to independents and Republicans. We need to do more. Let's have a huge, and I'm going to ask the leadership of the Democratic Party, let's have a huge, parade up in Spanish Springs and Lake Sumter. Make up some flyers. Another neighbor of mine was working for the VA. I said, I need your help to do a flyer. Tell me, what are we doing in the VA? Let's talk about two topics. I talked about picking a bipartisan, topic. Medicare and vet services, okay? I mean, we need to do more, people, all right?
Jean, I got someone here in the audience that has volunteered to help with any kind of flyers that need to be done to communicate and educate. Kathy, will you please stand up? Stand up, lady. Yay. She's a graphic designer. And make whatever communication the group comes up with look professional. Yes. And to be short and sweet.
Are you saying my flyer wasn't professional? Okay, this is why we argue, okay? Okay, so, all right, talk, stop whispering. This is important. Let's talk about Medicaid and Medicare for a minute, all right? So what Trump's doing with all his flurry of executive orders is he's, it's not even Morse code. He's telling the Congress, here, I want you to eliminate all these things, right? And the Inflation Reduction Act, and I know I'm talking to a bunch of people who already know this, but the things that was passed under the Biden administration, I mean, it included infrastructure funding. It includes prescription drug reform. It includes Affordable Care Act subsidies. It includes mammograms. It includes, how many women are in here? Do we need mammograms, ladies? Yes. Right? Okay? It includes provisioning for pre-existing conditions, all kinds of vaccines, health care, environmental clean air and water. Okay, it includes improvements of maximum out-of-pocket cap for Medicare beneficiaries. Now, even the Republicans want clean water. Come on, guys, right? Well, but again, it's like, all right, so, so I have a relative who voted for Trump, okay, and makes for very quiet Thanksgiving dinners, right? But we got into a conversation about the J6ers, and I said, do you realize that they beat the hell out of cops? People died. And she looked at me dead seriously and said, nobody was hurt. There was no cops. Okay? And I'm like, oh my God, Google it. It's all, stop watching Fox News. Watch BBC, watch anything else. But if you insist on watching Fox News, fine, but watch something else, because they are not getting the information, people. Okay, anyone who's glued into Fox, they're going to be telling you pretty soon that Ukraine invaded Russia. Okay, I mean, it's unbelievable. Are you getting a little riled up here? So, the other thing is, and this is very near and dear to my heart. How many people here know somebody who has cancer or who has head cancer? Raise their hands. Okay? Is there anybody who doesn't have their hand up? Okay? All right. And how many people here know somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia? Okay? Now that's a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. My mother had Alzheimer's, my father had dementia. So, they're trying to stop the funding for this, people. Okay? Now here in the Villages, okay, talk about another education point. They're trying to stop the funding for cancer and Alzheimer's and dementia. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Did you have a question, or were you was that a hump of support?
I do have a question.
Yeah, okay.
Every time I try to have these conversations, and maybe I'm not approaching it right, they just tell me, oh, you're being extreme. Oh, that's not true, just like what you're saying. And they won't go and Google it. It's just, I'm the liar.
Okay, so maybe, here's another thing. Maybe we need to do something so people have points and have, talking points with facts to to back it up. Because I agree with you, somebody who just watches one media, which is not telling the truth, how do we break that down?
We do need education.
Yeah.
Among us.
Okay.
I don't know how to talk to these people when they come back with, oh, well, such and such and so and so. So that'd be great.
They usually come back with, well, that's nothing compared to what Biden is doing.
Go ahead.
I'm a precinct captain in the north, better known as the hysterical side.
What is your name?
Gloria Smith.
Hi, Gloria.
So the Democrats were not going to talk to independents. We have to, because people are finally starting to wake up. They're finally starting to lose stuff. That I have been doing this since I was 16. I moved here to retire from politics. All my plans. So, it's time to kick butt. I have been marching in the street.
You go, girl. Be loud. Be loud. Okay, go ahead.
Before the election, I have friends who are, Trump supporters, and I said, did you read 2025? And so this couple, oh, we looked at it, but that will never happen here. Right. Not going to do that. That will not happen. There is such a denial, even when you put it in front of them. Oh, no, that's not going to happen.
We need to figure out a way to...
The good news, Jean, is in my pool, people are not supposed to talk politics, but I know who the Trump supporters are and who aren't, and they know I'm a Democrat. And one woman came over and said, I can't stand what Elon Musk is doing. And she's a Trump supporter. But there was somebody else who said, he's cleaning the swamp and cleaning out all those government jobs. And I work for the government, and I know how many people sit around doing nothing. So, there are people who are going to hold on and defend him no matter what he does, no matter what they read, no matter what facts you put in front of them, they're going to say, oh, that's not true.
Okay, so I agree with you. Anybody who is, and trust me, I've got family members, okay, anybody who is hardcore MAGA, we're not going to change it, right? But what Gloria said is incredibly important. Okay, because there's a lot of independents, there's a lot of Republicans who are starting to say, whoa, this isn't exactly what I voted for, right? And in Project 2020, I have a cousin who I was very close with. I taught her how to drive, very, very close with. And she turns around, she's an anti-vaxxer. And I said, fine, don't get one. I'm okay with that, I was the only one in the family who would have her over for dinner, but what the heck. But she went down the rabbit hole with Kennedy, and I'm just sending her stuff now. Of course, she's not replying, but I'm like, did you see this? And then she had the audacity to say to me, Trump said he wasn't going to do Project 2025. Okay, so we need to come up, you guys are bringing up great points, and I'm not ignoring you. You guys are bringing up great points in that we need a unified message. We need to figure out a way to educate our neighbors and our friends and our family, okay? Because let's take that we need to take that as an action.
I got it.
Okay, because that's critically important. And if we're going to go knock on doors and stuff, we need to be able to talk to these people. I agree. Hold on one second. There was a woman in the back there. Yes, ma'am.
I don't talk very loud, so I'm going to stand. One of the problems with the villages is we've got pumped in property on the Three Fox.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, it's at the pools, it's the rec centers, it's everywhere. So they believe it's true. They all believe it's true. So maybe there's a group that can do something locally by getting them. You want to play music? Great. We like music, although I don't care about the town squares hearing it all the time. But still, if we could just stop hearing the news from Fox in the place that we're supposed to have peace.
But it's fair and balanced.
That's a very good point. Thank you. Let's see, Sandy. It's a movement. All right.
I'm disgusted as many people are here, but if we each don't do something individually, and I'm just thinking about this, these protest signs that we were going to have, why can't each of us put one outside of our house and protest and let the people know how we feel?
They don't let you. I think we
All
try.
right, so there's a lot of mixed emotions on that one.
And then right there on the street.
Hey, the Hope's about to come out here. Okay, so I'm going to Okay, so I talked about Medicare, Medicaid, NIH. Okay, town halls, Sandy based on it. We should touch base on it. We should all be screaming at Webster. He hasn't had a town hall in 10 years. You know? I mean, come on. You know, and we should be, that's another point with your neighbors and the people around here. Where's our congressman? You know, what the heck is going on? He works for us. You know? We need to be loud, people. That, if nothing else, when we get out of here, you're gonna come up to me and say, you're the woman who was loud, okay? So I wanna be loud, but, all right, so vet services, Medicare, two huge things. We've got some action items to come out of here. I want to urge Democrat leaders here, okay? I wanna urge to have this huge rally up where it's gonna count with the votes.
I can do that.
Okay. You heard it. Okay. And you're on video. Okay, that's awesome. You know, and then we'll come up with some, I just want to hand them out to people on the street because you've got a mix of people there. Here's what's happening, you know. So I'm going to close my piece of this meeting, which I've taken way too much time on. I'm going to close it with a passage from Maya Angelou. Yeah, you should be angry. You must not be bitter. Bitterness is like cancer. It eats upon the host. It doesn't do anything to the object of its displeasure. So use that anger. You write it, you paint it, you dance it, you march it, you vote it. You do everything about it. You talk it. You never stop talking it. Thank you.
I only had half that energy. Only we all had half that energy. Thank you for lending us some, and thank you for the inspiration and the leadership you've shown. All right, so now you get your marching orders. And then,
Come on, people, let's do it.
we'll give you some other things to do. There's always homework when you come to one of our meetings. You know that. Next slide, please. Thank you. Next slide. All right, this organization is organizing movements, and people are coming to them with toolkits on how to do movements nationwide. Next slide. Next one is March 4th. The closest one I could find is Orlando City Hall. That date was the original date when the president was inaugurated, March 4th. And so this is a special day. There's other March 4th signifiers in here. People are signing up on their site, 5051.org. And it shows how many people have RSVP'd to come to these rallies and marches. They're all over the place. A lot of them are at government buildings, like city halls or state capitol buildings. Some of them are in parks. Some of them are just semi-random places. Here's the closest one I could find so far for us. Next slide, please. On March 8th, they're doing the rally there in Ocala in the historic downtown. So you can go to that. This is another group that I've had to learn what Reddit is the last few days. Ocala Blue Dots on Reddit. And they're organizing this event. So that's from noon to 2. This will be in the newsletter on the weekend, on Sunday it was. So if you want to, you can make a note of it now, or you'll see it again in the newsletter. Next slide. They mentioned Josh Weil and how important this race is. I was thinking the other night, the entire House Republican budget plan would have been in serious jeopardy of not passing if Josh Weil was already in Congress. If Kay Vallimont was already in Congress, they couldn't have got it through at all. So we need these races, we need these seats. We know they're tough, we know that there's a big Republican majority, but special elections turn on low turnout. So a few hundred extra votes can mean all the difference in the world. Josh will be our lead speaker at the March 8th club meeting at Lake Leona. He's been at the Sumter DEC, he's been in Lake, he's been in Marion. We're at 3 of the areas in the gigantic district he has, which has multiple counties outside of the Tri-County area. The Sumter DEC is doing everything it can, canvassing to help him. Is Deb Ferris here? Bob Bird? Come on. Bob will tell you what you can do to help get Josh Weil elected.
Thanks, Dennis. So we know protesting works. It's a tool in our arsenal that absolutely works. So thank you for your efforts to turn back the J6ers. Frankly, unfortunately, the MAGA Club has invited other felons to the villages. So this is not the first time, it's just the latest time and the most egregious. We are working hand in glove with the Josh Wheel campaign. We have sent out an invitation to everybody on our email list. If you are not signed up for our newsletter, go to SumterFLDemocrats.com. Sign up for our newsletter. It's more irregular now that our editor has stepped down. But we sent out an invitation to join us for a canvass. We are knocking on doors. We knocked on doors yesterday in Marion County, up by Mulberry. There were Democrats and no party affiliates that did not know about the special election. Rosie was with us. She took an extra turf around her house and was with us. There are probably others in this group. We sent the invitation to about 16,000 people. We had a dozen people show up to help canvass, a dozen. So if you want something to do, show up. Is it outside your comfort zone? I'm sure it is. It's outside mine. But I do it anyway, because it's just too important. So in addition, we have a canvassing set up for Saturday afternoon at 1, another one next Wednesday, another one next Saturday. We have gotten 32 turfs from the Wheel campaign. They polled who they wanted us to knock on their doors, and we are knocking on their doors with their literature. And we are asking people to commit to vote. They can sign up for voting by mail up through the 20th of March. Early voting is the 22nd through the 29th, with Election Day on April 1st. Wouldn't it be great to poke these jerks in the eye by stealing a couple of these elections? You know, Dennis mentioned low turnout. Some of these special elections for Congress have as low a turnout as 20%. Is it a tall task and a heavy lift for Democrats in these 2 congressional districts? Absolutely it is. We are outnumbered 3-to-1 in CD1 and 2-to-1 in CD2, but you know what? It's turnout, 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 and we are knocking on doors. If we can't get volunteers for it, then the campaigns have to pay for it. They were also looking for people to house paid volunteers from other areas. So in the buzz last Sunday, Dennis included a couple of hyperlinks, how to help the Gay Valmont campaigns, a little box. You click on it. It takes you to hundreds of things you can do. Postcarding, phone calling, canvassing, and it's from all over the country. We are receiving national level attention because we are in such a critical time. So this is in our hands to do. And even with Josh Wheel, I was on a call today. I'm also now the chair of the Small County Coalition, which is 43 small counties, and we're trying to make sure that they are organized and working effectively to turn out Democratic votes, and that really is our goal. We know it's hard to win elections when you're outnumbered 3-to-1, but we're going to turn out as many Democratic votes as possible. We knock on doors of NPAs. We have identified profiles of no party affiliates that lean our direction. And now it's not 100% foolproof, but it gives us a statistical leaning for their different profiles. So we are working closely with them. All of these things that you can do will be in the buzz, was in the buzz last Sunday. It will be in the buzz this Sunday. Click on a link, join us. We are absolutely making a difference.
Two of our favorite guys. Come on, louder. All right, so the offices they have are not necessarily closed. Daniel Webster's office is in Claremont, and it was visited by 17 villagers who took up a bunch of time of the staff to file complaints and talk about the issues they cared about, like Social Security and Medicare, and among others. This guy's closest office is in Orlando, and there was some road construction going on, so I couldn't get to his office, but now the road will be opening, so we have to go down there, and Amy Shaw is the one who's been organizing this, and she was saying, Rick, next slide.
So this is updated just in an idea that I had one day that we should go down and talk to people. So 17 people showed up the first time we went to Daniel Webster's office. Well, the way that we did it, we all went down and I asked everybody to bring a letter with them if they could. And so people put together letters and they let us in 2 and 3 at a time, so we were able to take up a lot of the staff's time. Of course, he wasn't anywhere nearby. But, you know, they answered all the letters. This is my tone-deaf letter. I'm sure many of you have similar tone-deaf letters. This is the one in which Webster attempts to explain to me how Obama began doing. Yes. So we're going to try to expand our efforts a bit. And so this Thursday, we're going to go visit Scott's Orlando office. And on Friday, the 21st of March, we're going to visit Webster's office. For both of these dates, and this information will be in the buzz as well, for both of these dates, we're going to meet at 9:30 in the Everglades parking lot, since we're going south. The meeting place is somewhat south. We're also going to do another one on the 14th of April. Not totally positive just what we'll do, because I'm still waiting for Ashley Moody to open an office or several in the state of Florida. Right now, the only thing that she has listed is in DC. That's longer than a day trip for us. I'd also like to get some feedback from you all about, for one, how do you feel about maybe going to Claremont and standing outside the Tesla dealership like people were doing around Okay, if we could get that on this schedule. And my husband and I are going to go down, do a little reconnaissance, and check out the SpaceX place down in Cape Canaveral. I want to see if there's someplace safe that we could, that we could protest and so forth without getting arrested or hit by a truck. So, 2 goals. So keep watching the buzz for these sort of events, and I encourage as many people as can to come out. I mean, it was really. They weren't expecting us. Webster's office is kind of hidden up on the 2nd floor in the back of a shopping center. But we were able to, like I said, to take up the time. They have to answer everything that we've sent to them and so forth. And we need to, like with Jean and Sandy said, we need to let them know we're here. Right? We need to just make them know that everybody in their constituency are not Republicans and that we also have a voice. Yes?
This is great. I support it.
Thank you.
But those 2 guys will not listen to us. They are hardcore MAGA. Hang on. I'm still supporting what you're doing. But remember, if we're talking about the House, our goal is to make Daniel Webster, put him in the minority party. The way to do that is to think outside the state and support as many of the other the other contests across the country for Congress. I think that's where our focus should be, because this part of Florida, as far as I'm concerned, is deep red MAGA. I'm not poo-pooing everything everybody said. We should do all those things, but we have to think out of the state. We have to think and look at and focus on all the other races where Democrats have more of a chance of taking back the House. The Senate's another story. We shouldn't forget that either, because we need it badly. But let's take back the House, and let's do it by looking outside of Florida. I agree.
And thank you for that. You're absolutely right. The thing is, we have a lot of people, we have a lot of fired up people, and we have people who have a comfort level with doing different things, and so this is a way, I think, to pull in people who would be comfortable doing this sort of thing. And then, we've got people, I was up canvassing for Josh Weil the other day, we have people who are willing to do that. We just need to get out there. Yes, guy in the back with 2 hands.
My name's Dr. Gianni, and we go with a friend for archery, etc., and he only watches Fox. So recently, I've been trying to break through, so I got this new invention. I have MSNBC streaming on my cell phone, and I put that in. I said, the car, it's all it gets. and he's listening. Oh my God. I don't know. Give it a try.
All right, so these are awesome ideas, you know, because we're getting in their faces. But let's think, April 1st is what we need to focus on. You know, Scott and Webster, we need to kind of push that off a little bit until April 1st because all of our effort should go to get people to go out to vote, inform people on what is going on for April 1st. That's my comment.
I think that's true, that's primary, but I like the idea of offering an opportunity for people who want to do things in this way, because I really, you know, there are so many different ways that we can be active, so many different ways that we can make our voice heard, and I think that all of them are valid, so I wouldn't stop anybody from doing whatever, and, you know, certainly the April 1st things, but if anybody feels like joining in on these, we'd be happy to have you.
Everybody give me something. All right, moving along, keeping the pressure on. Next slide, please. 5calls.org, for those of you who want to do this, it's really easy to use. It sends you directly to your officials once you put in your zip code. More than 6 million calls so far since this came out, which is like less than 2 weeks old, I think.
What is it?
It's a site that has all the information loaded on all of the elected officials in Congress. So when you type in your zip code, it sends you to your officers and you can call them. And it gives you a form letter that you can fill out picking an issue that you care about the most. So you can adjust the letter and send them an email letter if you want, as well as a phone call.
We used to go to your app store also.
Yeah, it's an app as well. Okay, you heard a lot about volunteering. So yes, talk is great. Action is better. Support legal defense funds. There are at least 3 nonprofit groups, the ACLU, Democracy Docket, and Democracy Forward. They have filed 92 court cases so far against executive orders and self-action. And that's not cheap, because these are all going to go to the Supreme Court eventually, probably, so money's always good. Resist and boycott. Today is one of those examples. For example, the coffee you're drinking and the setups came from an independent discount supermarket, Save-A-Lot, and the cookies came from a small bakery in Lady Lake. So no Walmart, no big box store, no corporate type of stuff. And there are lots more boycotts coming up from all over the place. So we'll give you notices when we see them so you can decide if you want to resist being like shopping on Amazon for a week. I think it's coming up next, like March 7 to 14. Can you live without that? All right, it's a way to hurt them in the pocketbook. Engage and disengage. You know, disengage from those folks that are unpersuadable, but engage with folks who can be persuaded. That's part of the message you've been getting from the last couple of people. Hold on a second. What's your question? Or statement?
What are the odds of getting people to speak, like at the American Legion, which is the biggest chapter in the whole country, or going to the veterans clubs, or actually talking to them?
Good idea. We'll make a note of it.
Some of those people.
Get some of our veterans to see if they can go there.
More well-versed in what to say and how to deal with it.
Absolutely.
You make some inroads there.
Okay, thank you for that. Next slide, please. Oh, how did that get in there? It looks like we've been hacked. So when the famous Elon memo went out, give me 5 things that you've done. Go back. The famous email went up from Elon to every federal employee saying, I need 5 things by Sunday or we'll presume you resigned your job, what you accomplished last week. This meme showed up at the Housing and Urban Development Department. And someone had hacked in, it was on all the TV screens in the building in Washington, D.C. And not only that, they couldn't figure out how to shut it off. So they sent employees to every TV on every floor and had them unplug the televisions. And meanwhile, tens of thousands of people have been sending mocking 5 things I did last week. So that slide I showed you before, you can do all of those things and that'll be your 5 things, you know. So let's keep doing that. Next slide, please. Eric, you're up. The reason we got excited recently is right there on the screen, what we found out about and what people responded to. So Eric Lipsitz from the club is going to be our closer. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's keep the energy going.
We moved here in 2021. And after we came here, I joined the Village Democratic Club proudly. And then the election came in 2022. Charlie Crisp, Val Demings, we got beaten bad. And I know that there were victories elsewhere, but not here in Florida. And then came 2024. Debbie Lucas El Pal. The election of 2024. What we have here today that I don't think you all are celebrating is that we won. We are the victors in chasing the J6ers out of the village. Not in our area, not in our home. Rick, if we could go up 2 slides, this is what I want to say to you. Up 2 slides. Nope. The other way. We'll get those guys too.
There you go.
Next one. We are the victors. We've forgotten that today. These people that came here, what caused the villages to turn it away, excuse me, was the threat issued by Casey Marr. Yeah. Thank you, Casey. And you knew that I would be invited. And the ladies did it on Facebook. We must be strong. This is the time. But today, February 28th, I remind you, there were those that were going to come to this meeting and put their lives on the line down at Rohan. Yeah. And they don't have to because we won.